Right folks, it's Tuesday. My 7 days confinement are over and I'm back on day 8. And here we have the error. But looking down there, I don't know if you'll be able to pick this up, but there is a definite wobble down there. So it's looking like the bore of the pulley is not square to the face of the pulley. So the next thing to do is to take the plate off the still coughing, take the plate off the pulley and check the back of the pulley. Now I've got the key tapped in, so it's held in position. So what I've got to do next is take the plate off the pulley and check the back of the pulley, and also check the spacer for to see if the spacer is parallel. But it looks to me like it's the back of the pulley that's out. Right, I'll do that and I'll bring you back. See you in a bit. Right folks, I think you can see the problem here. I've just taken a skim cut off that after running the dial gauge across it, and I think you can see that indeed the flat, or what I thought was the flat back of the pulley, is indeed not flat at all. It's quite a way out, so I'm going to skim that up, continue skimming that off until I get a nice flat surface, and the more I use this lathe the more I like it. Bring you back later. And look, here's another not flat surface. This is what happens when you bolt multiple non-flat surfaces together. You get a cumulative error. So I'm just going to have skimmed the other side of this. I'm using chuck in chuck here, but I've skimmed the other side of it. I'm just going to take this down until it's flat, and then we'll have to check to see if we need to add a little bit of extra thickness to take up the error we've skimmed off, just to get the pulley back in the right place. Right, I'll bring you back when there's something more interesting to show you. Bye for now. Right folks, Tuesday 4:30 and the shaft is in square. I found out what the problem was. I assumed that the bore of the pulley would be what shall we say, perpendicular to the machined surface on the back of the pulley. Unfortunately, for some reason it wasn't. I've skimmed the back of the pulley, taken about 12 thou off the back of the pulley actually to get the pulley and the bore concentric, and the bore now sits at 90 degrees to the plate and the shaft comes straight out. And that error we had, which was 55-60 thou eccentricity on the end of the shaft here, is now down to 2.5 thou. So I've managed to assemble it all, and I've transfer punched the bearing position. So now we can happily tomorrow drill that, fit it all up, and do a final check for run out, and then move on to the next part of this. That's my bearing there. I am not assembling permanently because it's going to have to. It's all going to have to come on and off. But we've advanced to tech level because we've got the shaft absolutely square to the engine. So that's the main thing. It just shows you that you can't afford to assume anything. You know, you look at two machine services and you think, well, yeah, they're going to be absolutely at 90 degrees to each other. But of course, the engine it came off is a Kohler, and you know, they used to rattle and shake and bloody do all sorts, and this is probably why. But anyway, we've advanced to tech level. it's home time, Tuesday, and I'm going home. And tomorrow, I'm probably going to get the bearing drilled, assemble it all, and I think the next job, by the look of it, is to fit the starter. Right, and I'm also going to, I also want to put some reinforcing pieces between these welded in position, but I'm going to have to watch out because I mustn't get them in the way of the belts, of course, to turn this in effect into a more rigid mock-up of a bell housing rather than these, which are, there's quite a lot of flex in those, even though they're bushed, and when they're tightened up they're rigid obviously. There's still a bit of flex in them that I'd like to get rid of. These tractors get a lot of hard use, and I think it was hard. This didn't get a lot of hard use because the clutch drive, which was only the clutch drive for the grass deck, always slipped. You could never get the clutch drive to properly drive without either overheating or putting too much pressure onto the crankshaft. So I'm glad I scrapped it when I did. And we used it a bit just as a tractor to drive around to pull trailers, and then it just became pointless. So I brought it back to the workshop and I said, right, I'll do it. And it went in a corner and it's been there ever since. And now it's come out of the corner, and it's going to be the last frontier in clearing out the old projects that have never been finished. So it will be finished and it will run. And then next, what shall I do next? I think next I'm going to do this sad sorry article here. This, in actual fact, it's a very good saw. It's a, you know what it is, it's a Qualters and Smith. It's a big Qualters and Smith. It's 3-phase. It belongs to my mate Jim. My mate Jim brought it here, stripped it down, put all the bits in a box, went away and never came back. The swine. But he is very busy. So he flies all over the world designing road systems and traffic signal systems. So he's a busy man. So what I'm going to do with this is clean it up. I'll probably paint it first and then reassemble it, because it looks like it just needs the still coughing. It looks like it just needs the scabs knocking off it and spraying. So that's what I'll do. And then that's another one out of the way. That's another piece that's got bits spread all over the place in boxes that I'll have to draw them all back together and see if I can work out how it goes together. But I'm going to paint it first, then put it together, and then I shall touch up any scabs or bits I've knocked off. But this is a big heavy lump. It's going to need my little forklift, my little coolie forklift to put the top on, I think, because that piece is very heavy indeed. So that'll be the next project I do after I finish this. But there's still lots of fun in this, people. So I'll call it for today. We've advanced the tech level. I'll catch you all tomorrow. Bye for now. Tuesday, 2 o'clock. We've advanced the tech level. The shaft is now central. The bearing is now on and mounted. And I'm beginning to see the light with the starter, which is what this cutout's for. Here's the starter. I've got the gear wedged in the open position there, in the starting position. And that goes into and that's going to go there, something like that, when I can invent something to fill the fresh air between the fixed points and the starter. Oh, I do set myself some problems. Right, there we go then. Next bit, the starter. I've got the belts rigged with air elastics so that they're in their working positions. Can you see down there? Yes, you can. So that I'm not accidentally interfering with the belt run. that's a bit variable. I can get some movement on that. I'm coughing today. That's a bit close there. That runs a bit close. I might have to drop that a bit, but that's not. That's by the by. All this is adjustable. It's a matter of just working it up into a working state, modifying everything as we go. Right. I'll see about mounting this starter, and I'll bring you back. Bye for now, people. And here we are, folks. 4:30. Tuesday, home time. So we've got a rig. We've welded a bracket onto there because this fixing hole actually happens to be in a bad position with that plate. It's very difficult to do jobs like this when you're by yourself because you've got nobody else to hold the bloody thing in place while you take measurements. But I managed. I clamped it up, and so what we have to do now is we have to weld that to there, same at the bottom down there, weld that to there, and then we have to make adjustments by using packing or filing, slotting holes until we get good mesh on the ring gear. Now, to be honest, I've done this before, it works okay as long as you get it close enough, but I'm sure that doing it this way we can get better mesh than we've had before. So there you go, that's it now, that's it for today, and I'm glad to say that is probably the most difficult job I've got to do on here. So now it moves on to easier stuff. I shall finish this tomorrow and I'll let you see it. I don't think that's going to fit somehow. That was off I just wondered if I could fit that in there somehow, but I don't think it's going to fit. I'm not that bothered about it anyway. It'll probably just melt. So there you go. We'll throw that away. There we are. Got the belts are all set up, the shaft's set up, the bearings in the right position, the starter's more or less mounted. As I say, we'll have to make adjustments until it meshes spot on. But as you probably see that I've got the ring gear, not the ring gear, what's it called? Can't remember. Wedged open. Spur gear. I've got the spur gear wedged open so that it's in its meshed position, so that I get this in the right position, and that's going to be really strong, which is, it needs to be strong, and then you just adjust the position subtly by subtle bends on this piece of steel, and also washering in there until it meshes okay and it doesn't start spitting metal out. So there you go. So tomorrow we might be able to turn the key and listen to the engine spinning over. Then what have we got left to do? We've got to do the exhaust and the drive for the grass belt. I think I'll do the drive for the grass belt next. Give myself a bit of a break, because that looks like it's going to be fairly easy. So that means sliding the grass deck underneath, fitting it and belting it up, and then looking at moving this, which is actually on a pivot, which can act as a jockey pulley. I've realised there's a problem with the exhaust. I was going to just chop them off and turn them round, but I can't, because that exhaust manifold is also the alternator bracket. So there you go. That one you could do it with, but it looks like once again the exhaust system is going to have to go out this side somewhere. We'll see. We'll see. Right, folks, that's it for today. Bye for now. Now then, my lads and lasses, it's Wednesday in Langtoft, although in the rest of the world it's actually known as Thursday, because of course I wasn't at work on Monday, so I miscounted. I was still under COVID lockdown, and I was getting on with the starter yesterday, and I realised I was becoming completely smock-ravelled, as they say in this area. So what I decided to do was have a really good, thorough tidy up, because not only does it help you work more effectively, it also gives you a break and clears your head of everything. So I haven't got down here yet, but as you can see, there's a right mess down there. That's all stuff that's going downstairs. Loads of empty cardboard boxes for sorting stuff out, because I have an enormous amount of stuff that now needs sorting out and has to go, because it's just sitting there. It's the remains of all sorts of different businesses and projects and things that I've done in the past. It's now surplus to requirements, and I've decided it's all got to go this year. So big clear out coming. How far have I got? I've got all this area done. This area is nice and clear and clean now, and I still have to do the bench, but I'm going to crack on with that now. So when I've done, I'll bring you back on Thursday or Wednesday or whatever it is. Bye for now. So here we are, folks, 4:45 on Wednesday or Thursday or Wednesday or Thursday, I'm not quite sure. And we've had a really good tidy up, which is a really good way of moving on when your head's stuck with something. Yes, I lost control completely and had to do the machine shop floor. Here's a word of advice for you: don't buy the light grey paint, buy the dark grey. The light grey shows every bloody mark and it looks awful. So when this gets another coat, it's going to be dark grey. So there you go. But other than that, I'm finished. That'll dry out overnight, and tomorrow back on the tractor. Now what I've been thinking about today is this starter, and looking at the looking at just here, I can actually get a square on there on the surface of the flywheel and square up the starter body with an engineer's square. Now what this wants is just a slight tweak. This needs bending very slightly. But I'm not going to do it in situ. I'm going to take it off and do it until I get it square, completely square across there and across there with the flywheel, and that will be good enough. And then I'll be able to just make minor adjustments with packings under there, just to adjust the mesh. But for now, people, for Thursday, which I thought was Wednesday, that's it. Catch you later. Good morning, people. It's Friday, 11 o'clock, and here I am back on the tractor again. Now I'm hoping you can see here, but I've just had a square on this flywheel and against the starter, and I thought, well, that looks really square. So what I did was wound the starter out and placed tooth to tooth like that. And when you do that, you can see, or at least I hope you can see, that the two teeth are square to each other and they line up perfectly. So I'm not going to twist this bracket. I'm now going to set it all up and weld on the second bracket with it set in position. So there you go. Right, I've had to add a washer to the bolt, the fixing bolt, just to move the starter back slightly, so that when it goes fully into mesh, this piece here doesn't foul the flywheel. But that's worked very well. I'm very pleased with that. So I shall crack on and do that, and I shall bring you back when I've done it. Bye for now, peeps. Well, folks, one step forward, two steps back. But as luck would have it, I've solved the problem. Got the starter fitted. It's all off again now, but I'm going to put it back on. Got the starter fitted. Thought, right, try it out, see if it meshes correctly. And it jammed. The whole thing jammed. And I quickly realised it wasn't actually the starter that was jammed, it was the engine that was jammed. And the engine would turn all the way around one way to a stop point, and then it would turn all the way around the other to a stop point. So I thought, right, what's this? Stuck valve. Take the rocker cover off. Now that rocker cover off comes off easy. no stuck valves. That rocker cover unfortunately doesn't come off at all, but you can slacken it and move it back. So there is a cut there perhaps. I don't think that does very much actually. A cut out of there is required in between those two holes, so we can still put the plate on, right? But a cut out and perhaps a reinforcing bar back there, but that's neither here nor there. So I carry on tinkering, and I think, well, what the devil can be causing this? This engine was running, and of course took the plugs out, put the little camera down the plug holes, and what am I looking at but piles and piles of carbon and dirt in there, right? And it's trapping between the top of the piston and the valves and the cylinder head. So got the plugs out, got the airline in, got the exhaust valve open, blew it, loads and loads of black carbon came out, rocked it to the other side, blew it, loads of carbon out, and eventually it all freed off. And it's now turning over beautifully. So there you go. Now that was something that I wasn't aware was happening, but there you go. I must have just been turning it backwards and forwards and never turned it over actually one full cycle, one full revolution. But there you go, it just shows you. So I've had to mess about taking bits and pieces off everywhere and getting into it, getting oil all over the floor in there and everything. But anyway, it's fixed now. It's about lunchtime. I'm just sitting having a cup of tea, and so I should get it all put back together, and I'll bring you back again for a look at it spinning over. Bye for now. And here we are, people. I put some reinforcing in, and also the kit, I'm going to put something across there like a bit of mesh or something, just keep people's fingers out. Reinforcing bar down there, starter on, and we've advanced to tech level. We have a starter. This is actually, believe it or not, this is a starter off a Briggs & Stratton, but it used to work with a Briggs & Stratton 15 horsepower engine on a much smaller ring gear, right? And when I fitted this to the previous incarnation of this tractor, it started this engine perfectly, so I'm not worried about it. And I've got a couple of spare starters anyway off scrap Briggs & Stratton engines, but there we are, she's spinning over. So that'll be it for this week. Next week, what have we got to do next week? Starter motor. Oh right, next week we'll get the V-belts on, and we'll get the grass deck on, and we'll look at the belt run and get this adjusting rig here turned into a jockey pulley. So I don't know quite how I'm going to do that yet, but I've got some ideas. Rotating cams is one idea, levers is another idea, but we'll have to wait and see. What else have I done? Oh, I took that off so I could turn the fan. I turned the fan cowling, got a load of crap out the fan cowling. I'm going to put a finer gauze on there because it's getting it's picking a lot of grass up and blowing it through the engine. Well, in the top of the engine here is the oil cooler, and that does not want to get blocked up because the engine, especially the pistons, are partly oil cooled, and that's the oil cooler for the engine, so it needs to be getting good clean air through it, or at least as clean as I can make it. I'm going to come up through the bonnet to an air filter on here, big hole in the bonnet, shaker air scoop, a la American drag car. What else have we got to do then? Exhaust pipes, and I'm thinking along the lines of a pipe maybe coming round there, and a pipe coming across there and joining there and going down and underneath, right? Because the ones going up in the air were no good at all. I mean, that lasted literally 30 minutes before it got broken off, because we cut under trees and it's just no good. So maybe something like that. round there, join there, down and underneath. That's going to be easy. I'm going to have to get my new hydraulic bender into commission and get myself some steel pipe to bend. There you go. That should be fun. Right, end of another week, folks. I hope you've enjoyed it all. I hope you give me some likes, subscribe, comment if you like. I'm not leaving that like. I'm not leaving that. That will be rounded off. I mean, I'm rough, but not that rough. That will be rounded off to look nice and neat. But there we go. Quite a successful week. Apart from that horrible setback when the engine wouldn't turn over. Man, you should have seen the amount of carbon that blew out the exhaust ports. It was quite phenomenal. Right, I'll love you and leave you. Bye for now.